So right now, as we speak, 44 boats are sailing towards Gaza, trying to break this illegal siege and trying to bring in things like baby formula. They're part of the global Samud Flotilla. And they're also experiencing threats from Israel. There have been multiple attacks with unknown chemicals and drones and other tactics, including blasting Abba. That was on Tuesday night. What are your views on the global Samud Flotilla and this effort?
In my case, I obviously think of it in terms of what's preceded it. And when I say what's preceded, I mean the flotillas in the past. There were many flotillas to Gaza. The best known of them was the Mavi Marmara, or the flagship was the Mavi Marmara. And you might think this is just going down memory lane, but it's not, because it tells you how old, how far back this conflict stretches. And it tells you the efforts that were made in the past. And those efforts were crushed. And that's what, in my opinion, culminated in October 7th, almost 2 years ago now. Israel had imposed this brutal blockade on Gaza beginning in 2006, January 2006. It was then escalated in 2007. And that was the period in the blockade where Israel was calculating the number of calories each Gazan took in, the caloric intake of each Gazan, and they pegged the entry of food into Gaza on the basis of feeding the people of Gaza at what was called a humanitarian minimum, or what you might call a starvation plus diet. And they had constructed this huge list of items that were prohibited from entering Gaza. Chocolate was banned. Baby chicks were banned. School books were banned. Children's toys were banned. And it was at this point that a new flotilla, because there had been, I think, 6 before the one on May 31st, 2010, a new flotilla was launched. The flagship was the Mavi Marmara. And the Mavi Marmara came under attack in international waters by Israel. Israel killed 9 persons aboard the Mavi Marmara, and a 10th person died later from injuries incurred. Right after the Mavi Marmara attack, because the flagship was filled with mostly people from what's this organization called IHH, which was a Turkish-based humanitarian organization. And because Turkey is a medium power, Erdogan, who was also the president back then, he still is another president for life, Erdogan voiced his indignation at the assault on the Mavi Marmara. And then the call began. All the international community, all the states started to say the blockade of Gaza was, quote, unsustainable. Not that it was criminal, but it was unsustainable. And so as a result of the attack on the Mavi Marmara, the blockade was modified minimally, but then the modifications were quickly forgotten or set aside, and then the blockade in its full force resumed up until October 7th. So we're right back where we started from.
We're excited to share with you this week's sponsor, American Giant. I wear American Giant, and here's why I think you'll love it too. Today's trends of fast fashion have complicated clothing production by shipping cheap parts around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you're paying the price with rising costs. Back in the 1960s, 95% of clothing Americans bought were made in the USA. Today, it's only 3%. That's why we're excited to share our sponsor, American Giant. American Giant focuses on keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never left the US. But it isn't just about prices and helping the world. American Giant's clothes are comfortable too. From their famous hoodie to jackets, dresses, tees, and more, American Giant has a style and feel that you're sure to be happy with for years to come. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code USEFUL at american-giant.com. That's 20% off when you use the code USEFUL at american-giant.com.
It began exactly the same way. And then the next step was when the helicopters came over the Mavi Marmara and the Israeli special forces came on the deck of the Mavi Marmara and then proceeded to kill in a very systematic way. It was not what you might say, they didn't even pretend. They didn't even pretend it was anything other than a hit operation. They targeted them multiple times in the head and in the chest. The autopsies were very gruesome. There was no question what was going on. They wanted to teach the solidarity movement a lesson. And the same thing will happen here. Now there's the Israel then, like now, it said, we will just give us the goods, the humanitarian goods, and we will bring them into Gaza, okay? Well, guys, there are about 1,000 trucks outside Gaza right now. How about bringing in that humanitarian aid? Since you say you're going to bring it in, and the flotilla will therefore be unnecessary, they say, then how about starting with the 1,000 trucks outside Gaza? Since there's no problem with bringing in humanitarian aid, you have even volunteered to bring it in. Well, how about starting with the trucks parked outside Gaza, which have enough food to feed the people there for 2 months? It's so cynical, and it all depends on people forgetting the history. Everything old is new again.
Including the Nakba, the forced expulsion of Palestinians in 1948, which Israel is once again inflicting on the Palestinian people today. And let's talk about what's happening on the ground in Gaza. Some of the latest atrocities in Gaza that I've been able to keep track of. Israel bombed a food distribution site run by a grassroots group called the Samir Project. Doctors at Al-Shifa Hospital in North Gaza are warning of total collapse. There's an Australian pediatrician there named Dr. Nada Abu Al-Rub, who's been issuing dire warnings of the hospital being besieged and possibly being forced to shut down.
So this tracking is ongoing. You can see even the signs of the snipers in our room. No one is safe here. It's constant outside. It's all dust and bombing and rubble. No building survived. No animals survived. No humans survived. Total, complete blockade. The hospital running out of the bases. It did run out, but I mean, like the only bases that are left are running out.